Okay, I'm just gonna get started. It is 6:06, and if anyone hops in, I guess they can hop in. Are you able to hear me okay, Mike?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so good night, everyone. My name is Alyssa McDermott. I am the Federal Administrator of Programs and Grants for the city, and I am here with Mike DeBroyce, the Director of Planning and Development for the city. In tonight's presentation, I will be giving a brief overview of the CDBG home and ESG programs. We will then inform you of our funding allocations from HUD and then take down any questions or comments. Questions and comments can be sent via email or mail to the following information below. All comments and questions must be submitted by April 12th, 2023. And all responses will be posted on the city's website under the Planning and Development Division. These are just some common abbreviations that I will be using throughout the presentation. Housing and Urban Development, HUD, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Home Investment Partnership Program, HOME, Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG, Low and Moderate Income, LMI, and Program Year, PY. So the purpose of the public hearing tonight is to discuss the funding that we will be receiving for our CDBG, home, and ESG programs. It's going to offer the opportunity for the community's input for the expenditure of these federal funds. And we will be also discussing the budget and project timeline for any of the activities that will be funded. We're going to start off with CDBG. Just a general overview of CDBG.
Alyssa,
Yes.
the screen just shows your calendar right now for the Microsoft Teams, doesn't show the screen that you're sharing.
Oh, I am so sorry. Let me.
No, it's okay, just to make sure you've got it all set.
Are you able to see the slideshow now?
Yep, you're all set.
Okay, sorry about that. So I will just briefly reiterate, since you couldn't see the screen earlier, any questions or comments can be submitted to myself, either email or through the mail via the following information. All questions need to be submitted by April 12th, and all of the responses to any questions will be posted on the city's website under the Planning and Development Division. And again, these are just the common abbreviations that I will be speaking about tonight. The purpose of the hearing. And then just a general overview of CDBG. So the program provides annual grants on a formula basis to states, cities, and counties to help them develop viable urban communities by providing decent housing and suitable living environments by expanding economic opportunities. This CDBG funding is primarily for low to moderate income individuals. 70% of all of our CDBG funds must benefit low to moderate income persons. And for any single activity that is funded through CDBG, 51% of the people served are actually required to be low to moderate income. And a low to moderate income person means that a family or household has an individual income less than 80% of the area median income. These income limits are determined by HUD and they are updated annually. There are 5 primary funding categories that we can use CDBG funding for: public services, public facilities, infrastructure improvements, economic development, and affordable housing. And luckily, this program does offer a high level of flexibility in choosing program activities. And most activities that are going to benefit a low to moderate income individual or family will meet the needs of the community will be eligible for CDBG funding. Um, Today, since we are discussing CDBG, I would like to point out that we will be focusing mainly on public services during this public hearing. And for public service grants, we only can use 15% of our annual allocation towards these type of activities. These are some of our past public service grants that the city has funded. We have the Feet on the Beat program, which is where Woonsocket police officers will ride through the city on bicycles to help increase community engagement. We funded Close to Kids, which is actually a really awesome organization where they provide a week's worth of clothing to children. But what's neat about them is that they actually allow the child to go into like a store-like setting and shop rather than just getting handed like a bag of clothing. We also have the Mayor Health and Wellness Program, which is for seniors. They do exercise, cornhole, other like field trips and fun activities. We also fund a portion of the Home for the Day program at the senior center, as well as the nutrition program there. We also have a homeless sheltering program at the Woonsocket Motor Inn. We also funded the Woonsocket Education Center, who is able to provide a free teacher's assistant program to individuals that are interested. So on this slide, we can see some of the eligible public service activities. So childcare, healthcare, job training, recreation programs, education programs, services for senior citizens, as well as public safety. And when looking at this slide, you can see our prior year CDBG funding. So this is just funding that we've accumulated over the years of being funded through CDBG. We have approximately $1.1 million remaining in prior year funding. And then in 2023, our preliminary allocation is about $1 million from HUD, allowing us to have around $2.2 million to allocate for funding. And since we are focusing on public services tonight, I did decide to put in the breakdown of the 15%. So we are able to fund $162,000 approximately dollars for public service grants. And I don't know if anyone at this point has any questions or comments.
Alyssa, this is Kristen from River's Edge. Are there people live for this, or is this just it? This a small group of people?
It's just this small group of people.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I advertised in the call, and I did try and send out, emails to a lot of local organizations, but and then I'm not going to get too largely into the home program or the ESG program tonight, just because we will be focusing on that in the next public hearing on April 5th at the same time at 6 p.m. So I will just briefly touch on these. So the home program, some eligible activities are building, buying, or renting affordable housing for rent or home ownership, or tenant-based rental assistance to low to moderate income individuals if it's identified in your 5-year consolidated plan. So in the past with our home program, Woonsocket has done a home repair program, we've done new housing development, and we also have a down payment assistance program for city residents. And this, we hope, helps increase home ownership in the city. On this slide, you can see our 2023 funding. And I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments about this at this point. And then to get into our ESG, our Emergency Solutions Grant Program, eligible activities include street outreach, emergency shelter/shelter operations, rapid rehousing, homeless prevention, and the homeless management information system, which is the statewide waiting list for shelter. And this is our available funding for this year. The thing about ESG funding is that we do sit on a committee with other municipalities that receive this funding, and we do vote whether or not on whether or not a project will be funded. Any questions or comments? And that is really it for tonight. I know it was very brief. The next hearing is on April 5th. It's at the same time at 6 p.m. And this slide set will also be available on the city's website under the Planning and Development tab. So you can access it after this as well. And this was also being recorded as well. And that is it, unless Kristen, you have any other questions?
I do. I have like one question. So just so I can understand completely, it sounds like for this year there's 165,000 basically available for activities in let me see if I can turn this on. So let's that's available for someone like, for example, Rivers Edge Arts to run programming. Is that correct?
Yes, for public
Okay.
service.
All right. And so when will we see an RFP for the funding available?
I'm going to take down your question. In the end, we still have to go through one more hearing. So
Okay.
after that, we're going to probably start working on developing an RFP or making some final decisions on the final budget, because we still don't have a final budget yet at this time.
Okay. And in 2022, there was, no, I'm sorry, and I think it was 2021 maybe, because 2022 the program was stalled. In 2021, they did an RFP and people applied, but then no money was sent out. So my question is so we will see an actual RFP for this, and this money is committed to going out?
Sorry, I just want to write this down so I can make sure because I
Sure,
will
of
post
course.
it
And I
as
can
well.
submit these questions to you. I mean, that's totally
Yeah,
fine.
actually, if you don't mind, I believe you
Yep.
have my email.
I do. Yep, I will submit some questions. Yeah, just because like in the past, we have had at least one instance in the last 3 years when the program was not suspended, but no money was actually sent out. There were no awards given, so it was kind of like, well, why did we apply? Because it's not an easy process. So, all right. So yeah, that was really my question. And I guess what I'll do is I'll just email you the questions that I have, so you have them in writing.
Okay.
Kristen, it's Mike DeBryce, the director. How
Hi,
you doing?
Mike.
Hi. So I just wanted to clarify. So good job, Alyssa. And this is all mandated by HUD for the
Yeah.
funding that we get, right? So this isn't unusual for not to have big participation. I think last year when the city held it, it was during the city council meeting, and there was 0 shows for the public hearing. And then, eventually there will be some agencies that will reach out to the city and ask, some of the same questions that you asked.
Right.
I could tell you in the past, last year when I reviewed some of this with Alyssa's predecessor, there was some of the requests by some agencies were not allowable grant awards. So I'm concerned that if you didn't get a letter stating that, we'll make sure that if anyone does put in a request, if it is not permitted through the HUD regulations, that we do some kind of response back to the agencies or the requesters, so that way you've got some kind of clarification. But if you have something that is in mind, I urge you to reach out to Alyssa first, so you don't go through the whole process and then find out afterwards it was not something that's allowed by HUD. And
Oh no, it's allowed.
do
We
that.
we put in something that we'd been funded for before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead and reach out to Alyssa with those questions. And
Okay.
when she does do the response afterwards, it will go out to everybody. It will be publicized.
Yeah.
But if you have concerns with past grants that you may have put in for, and maybe why you may not have received a response, or why it may not have been funded, we can get you those answers, so that way you know that ahead of time. And again, right now, the city council and the administration, along with Alyssa's team and the plan department, we haven't finalized the whole budget yet until we get through the hearing process.
Mhm.
And then we follow all the guidelines as set forth by HUD. But at any time with any of your requests for River's Edge, feel free to reach out to Alyssa or to myself.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you both for your time. Yeah, I know this is basically something that you're required to do, but I'm still surprised more people didn't want to tune in. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you both very much.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your night.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.